Hello, welcome to the Single African Market Program, dedicated to bringing you every action around the vision of the continent of Africa to create one market for its people and for its nations. Now, I hinted some time back in 2021 that this year, 2022, is going to be filled with action, a year of action when it comes to the vision of the continent of Africa to create one market. Indeed, the year is just about a month old. We are still in January, and a lot of things are happening as far as this vision is concerned. And just about few days ago, we witnessed the launch of the Pan-African Payment and Settlement Systems here at the commercial capital of Africa, Accra, Ghana. Also, we witnessed the unveiling of the IATF 2023, again here in the commercial capital of Africa. And then this week, something historic has taken place. The Council of Ministers of Trade across the entire continent of Africa have held their 8th meeting here again at the commercial capital of Africa to look at the negotiations, to look at the rules of origin, the tariffs, and everything around this vision. And I'm happy to announce to you that they are telling the entire continent and the entire world that at 88% of rules of origin negotiated, the continent of Africa is ready to trade among itself as soon as that document is legalized and approved by the heads of states of governments of Africa.
And over the course of yesterday, that Council of Ministers made some groundbreaking decisions that will now be conveyed to heads of state at the Assembly of the African Union. The most significant of it is we've bedded down key rules of origin that allows us now to say with confidence to heads of state that we have a package of products that we can start trading on. So over the last 2 years, the negotiators and the ministers have been meeting frequently, as you can see, 8 meetings of ministers. And it's concluded now with a package that has 88% of all products on the tariff books across the continent for which we have agreed rules of origin. In other words, we now have defined for each of them what constitutes the minimum African content for that product to be traded between countries on the continent on the basis of preferences. That is a big breakthrough. And I'm happy to say that this 2-year period of work that we've undertaken in 2020 and 2021 identified more than 850 additional products. 850 additional products for which rules of origin have been agreed.
There was also a discussion by the ministers on the tools that are required to implement the AfCFTA and to make it relevant to the business community, to entrepreneurs. It is very important that this agreement becomes an agreement that creates opportunities for them. The other tool that the ministers discussed, which is also important for implementation of this agreement, is the AfCFTA Adjustment Fund. And the Adjustment Fund is intended for those countries who in the short term will experience revenue losses as a result of reducing or eliminating their tariffs. We are not at a point where in Africa we use tariffs as or duties as a tool for industrial development, which I hope is where we will be in a few years' time. For many of our countries, tariffs are still a tool for revenue generation. And so over time, we want to change that and use tariffs for industrial development purposes, as the minister was saying. But of course, we are not there yet. And so in the short term, we have to find other mechanisms. And this adjustment fund is intended for that purpose. It is an initial amount of $1 billion that has been made available for this purpose by AfReximBank.
So we've got good news at hand. We're just waiting for the legalization of that conclusion made by the Council of Ministers of Trade of the continent of Africa in Accra, the commercial capital of Africa, and then the continent is going to trade. We say congratulations to all of those who have made this possible thus far, those who have been negotiating, the ministers of trade, the senior trade officials of the various ministries of trade across Africa, and particularly those in Ghana, even hosting all the trade ministers in Ghana. We had one here in Accra, and then this one in January 2022. We also say congratulations to the Secretariat of the AfCFTA, the remarkable work that the entire team at the Secretariat have been doing. The National Coordination Office of the Secretariat of Ghana has also been doing extremely well, trying to make this vision a reality for all citizens of the continent of Africa. Meanwhile, I sat down with the president of AfREXIMBANK to find out about his assessment of 1 year of the implementation of the AfCFTA and where are we going next. How important is having a financial machinery such as the AfREXIM behind a trade agreement such as the AfCFTA?
You see, this is one case where the founding fathers of African Export-Import Bank and the AfCFTA Secretariat, as we see them. And when I say founding fathers, you have to go back to when the idea of the AfCFTA became a serious matter, back to the Lagos Plan of Action, the Abuja Treaty, and then, of course, the creation of AfREXIMBANK. They all knew that in a capital-scarce economy like Africa, having a trade agreement and that will promote intra-African trade and investment can only work if it is backed with a continental institution, which is a financial institution. Great. That can leverage the financing that will be needed to implement the kinds of things the trade agreement will call for. That was the architecture that was designed long ago, decades ago. It's only that they are just now coming
bearing
together.
The fruits.
And they come together at the right time. And that is why you are seeing that AfREXIMBANK and the AfCFTA Secretariat are working together like twins. It is not by accident. It is by design.
And 1 year on since the implementation of AfCFTA began, in your assessment, how far has it performed? And with your support so far, how do you see the future?
I think we've done something that nobody expected. And in fact, I was somewhere in Europe recently, and a representative of one major European economy told me they were actually very surprised with the progress made. Progress made with the number of signatures we have today. Literally everybody, 54 countries. Progress made with the speed of ratification is the fastest that has ever happened. Progress made in setting it up, that is setting up and instituting the organization called the AfCFTA Secretariat. And there we must recognize the very dynamic work that the Secretary General has done. And then progress made with the negotiation of the annexes and the other protocols. We have also delivered on a transit guarantee scheme. We're working together to use digital platforms to integrate the SMEs and women into trade. These are just within 3 years of this agreement being signed. It is moving at lightning speed.
And we've heard from the Secretary General that we are beginning trading this year under 87.6% rules of origin negotiated already. how do you see the next year as we take off again another year of the implementation of the AfCFTA?
With all the things we've done so far, with the payment system there, with the financing AfREXIMBANK is providing, and we're committing to disburse additional $40 billion in the next 5 years to support intra-regional trade. With the work we are doing to make it possible for African EPC contractors to participate in the $40 to $60 billion infrastructure spend going on in Africa, you will be surprised with the boost we are going to see in intra-African trade. So we believe that with where we are in the negotiations, with where we are in the instruments that putting in place the instruments that will facilitate trade, that we are going to exceed the expectations that were shared with countries when the agreement was being promoted all over Africa.
You may want to summarize something for the continent of Africa, its citizens, the political class who have all supported to make this happen. What would you say?
Thank you, our leaders, for taking the bull by the horn. Thank you, our leaders, for bringing Kwame Nkrumah's dream of our taking our destiny in our own hands to reality. We, as institutions that have been created, AfREXIMBANK, the AfCFTA Secretariat, will do everything in our power to make sure that all stones that need to be turned are turned, so that we will bring confidence to our people and deliver this instrument that we need to achieve the African Union's Agenda 2063, the Africa we want.
So a lot is happening on the continental stage, and it's heartwarming to hear the president of AfREXIMBANK, Professor Oramah, there assuring the entire continent that the AfREXIMBANK is ready and willing to stand behind the AfCFTA Secretariat and the vision of the continent of Africa to integrate its market and ensure that this vision come to reality. We are getting there, folks, and we want you to understand it and tag along. At the national level, Ghana is also leading the way, doing a lot to ensure that this whole vision comes to fruition, hosting all these meetings and a lot of things that are happening this week. For instance, the Honorable Minister for Trade and Industry, Honorable Alan Kwadwo Kyerematen, also met his counterpart from Rwanda to sign a very important pact. Listen. The government of Ghana has, through the Trade and Industry Ministry, signed a Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, with Rwanda to deepen bilateral trade relations between the two countries. Speaking at the signing ceremony of the MOU on Trade and Economic Cooperation at the Africa Trade House, the Minister of Trade and Industry, Alan Kwadwo Kyerematen, expressed optimism that the agreement signed will develop into a strong and mutually beneficial relationship between the two countries. He noted the significant role Rwanda has played in some of Africa's business-oriented policies, including the establishment of the African Continental Free Trade Area, AfCFTA.
The history of the African Continental Free Trade Area cannot be written without giving credit to the peoples and governments of both Ghana and Rwanda for the roles that we played in the establishment of this single continental market for Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, you would recall that the formal decision to establish the African Continental Free Trade Area was taken here in Accra at the African Union Summit of Heads of States and Government in July 2012. In the same vein, you'll recall that it was at the 10th Extraordinary Summit of the AU Assembly of Heads of States, held in Kigali in March 2018, that the African Continental Free Trade Agreement was signed. And we are all aware of the personal commitments of both our President, President Akufo-Addo, and President Paul Kagame towards the successful operationalization of the AfTA agreement.
Ghana's trade minister expressed optimism about the future economic relationship between Ghana and Rwanda.
We envisage that through this MOU, Ghana can become an entry point for Rwandan investments within the West African sub-region, whilst Rwanda, on the other hand, can become a strategic entry point for Ghana into the Central and Eastern African markets.
The Minister of Rwanda, on her part, also highlighted the long-standing relationships between Ghana and Rwanda.
Accra is a truly Pan-African city and a metropolitan hub for policy, businesses, and tourism. Indeed, today is an auspicious day, not only for the important work we have ahead of us, but also for the Memorandum of Understanding we're going to sign to enhance our economic and trade cooperation.
She equally expressed optimism about the bright future of the economic relationship between the two countries.
The signing of the MOU denotes the practical steps that will allow our private sector and citizens to realize the gains and benefits of the free trade area, to realize the gains and benefits of the brother countries. Our two great leaders, His Excellency Paul Kagame and His Excellency President Nana Akufo-Addo, have provided great direction on how to achieve this inter-African cooperation.
Dignitaries present at the signing ceremony included chief executives of state-owned enterprises and private business operators. So if you ever got the opportunity to watch the first episode of the Single African Market Program, we told you how a lot of some of these pacts were signed then around the 1960s and the 50s there when Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was the president of the Republic. It looks like we are on that path. A lot of pacts, a lot of agreements, a lot of negotiations bringing the continent together is going on. So I sought to find out from the National Coordination Office of the AfCFTA in Ghana what all these means for the business people who are patiently waiting to take advantage of the AfCFTA. I spoke to Honorable Catherine Afeku, the one in charge of strategic communications at the NCO.
This big excitement about Africans trading amongst ourselves. We witnessed one today where the Minister of Trade, Bayeta Habyarimana from Rwanda, and Honorable Kwadwo Alan Chermantin from Ghana signed an MOU moving the Continental Free Trade Area to a notch higher between these two countries. And it is the history of Ghana and Rwanda. If you would recall, the Continental Free Trade Area had been a clarion call within Ghana, always leading in Pan-African ideals. 2012, the late President John Atta Mills muted and actually moved the motion for AfCFTA here at the summit in Ghana. You fast forward, Rwanda, President Paul Kagame hosted the actual signing of AfCFTA. So it is no wonder that the two countries want to take the Continental Free Trade Area actualization to the next level by the two trade ministers, the implementers. So they've signed an MOU paving the way for Ghana businesses and Rwanda businesses to actually start doing the trading, physical trading. As you notice, the panels, we had the Chamber of Commerce, Association of Ghana Industry,
all the
agencies involved in trade were here. And on their side, she also did mention that she came with the private sector.
So on the ground, if the business people are watching and they've seen this taking place, if you take small and medium enterprises, you take the big conglomerates who are the likes of B5, Casapreco, and all of that, how will this help them?
So far, so good. I would say we are at the level of creating the awareness, encouraging SMEs and big companies that already shipping within Africa, and those trading outside of the continent to EU, Asia, and the Americas. And one of the biggest projects we've embarked on here at the National Coordination Office through the Ministry of Trade is Market Expansion Program. We have 3 categories of companies that found its way in the budget. We are following about 180 companies where category 1 is companies within Ghana already shipping within the continent, and we're going to walking them through, helping them to either expand or get more markets or just support them to see their export readiness and go beyond what they were originally doing. Category 2 are companies, big companies already doing business outside of the continent. They normally don't do any business on the continent. They have their clientele in Europe, Asia, Americas, and to walk them through how they can look within
the continent
and also
to start trading,
within. And then the third category, which is really where the excitement is the SMEs. Companies that are smaller, medium, but they trade only domestically.
They haven't been doing
continental, neither Africa, nor Europe, nor Asia, or Americas. How to prepare them for export readiness within the 54 countries within Africa. Mind you, we have 1.2 billion people with trading capacity of $3.4 trillion. There is nothing compared to the potential of trading in Africa, but it's not that rosy. There are steps, there are procedures, and there will be bottlenecks. So that's what the coordination office is here to walk companies through.
So very exciting information, an interesting one for that matter, coming from the Honorable Catherine Afeku, the one in charge of strategic communications at the National Coordination Office of the AfCFTA in Ghana. We will be visiting that conversation where she will talk to us a lot about the procedures that one need to follow when trying to take advantage of the AfCFTA, as she hinted there in the coming days. We will ensure that we take you into the NCO. Indeed, the Ministry of Trade and Industry has been out there in almost every corner telling people and educating people about the AfCFTA, the various protocols and annexes, how to understand them. This week, the Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry was at the UPSA to take stakeholders through a particular area of the AfCFTA, the competition policy of the AfCFTA. A Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry, Herbert Krapper, has reiterated the need for an effective competition policy to safeguard gains of AfCFTA and directly fuel industrialization transformation.
And state parties must use this opportunity to build the relevant trading infrastructure and adopt the right principles to meet the demands of an expanded market. The protocol on competition policy will be one of the key outcomes of the Phase 2 negotiations. An effective competition policy will be critical to ensuring that the gains expected from the AfCFTA trade liberalization will not be eroded by uncompetitive practices. As businesses seek to maximize their profits, various practices, some anti-competitive, appear.
The Deputy Minister, who is in charge of international and multilateral trade at the Ministry of Trade and Industries, noted that in order for the domestic market to harness the benefits of AfCFTA and ensure that trade liberalization is compromised by cross-border anti-competitive behavior, an effective competition protocol is significant.
The gains of this single market will not come overnight nor by chance. State parties have to progressively eliminate tariff and non-tariff barriers to trade in goods, progressively liberalize trade in services, cooperate on all trade-related matters, including customs and trade facilitation measures, investment, intellectual property rights, and competition policy.
So while we're excited about some of the good things that are happening, the wonderful stuff that is being done by the continent to integrate its market, unfortunately some pockets of not pleasant situations are taking place, particularly here in West Africa, the Sahelian regions in particular. Unfortunately, we have witnessed another coup d'etat coming from the ECOWAS region. So we are indeed hoping that the ECOWAS community is thinking through what to do with all these uprisings, all these insecurities in the continent, because this is not good for trade. And we've heard it quite a lot from the Secretary General of the AfCFTA, as well as the political leaders in the continent. This indeed is not good enough. We hope that it ends somewhere, and we hope that the best decisions are taken in the interest of the continent of Africa. So showing shortly on your screens is the status of the various African countries when it comes to the AfCFTA agreement. And there is good news over there, because Tanzania has become the 40th country on the continent of Africa to deposit its instrument of ratification out of the 55 countries. That is coming your way shortly. Also, the weather report for all African cities, the flight schedules leaving the commercial capital of Africa, that's Accra, to the rest of the cities in the continent, and the forex rate for the African market. So we are always excited to bring you all the information around the vision of this continent of Africa to integrate its market from all quarters, from the stakeholders, from the relevant institutions who are spearheading this whole vision. Thanks to the AfCFTA Secretariat, they open their doors to give you the best of information. The AfCFTA National Coordination Office, headed by Dr. Farid Arthur, always willing to give you the information to know what's going on. The Ministry of Trade and Industry, always there to support for you to understand and take advantage of the AfCFTA as a country and as a people. The Ministry of Information always ensuring that the relevant things are put in place for you to understand, that you are not left out because you do not know. We would encourage you to tag along this platform where we gather all this information for you so that you can follow this dream, which is now a reality, and the vision of the continent to create one market for itself. Thank you for watching. See you same time next week.
In the name of great Africa, is the fight and conquer now.